The truth about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Number 10. Tough upbringing. Coming up in Austria as the son of strict parents, Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't have it easy early on. His older brother Meinhard was a clear favorite, as the action star and politician remembered. According to him, his father had trouble believing Arnold was his biological son, and as a result, he was met with swift and harsh punishment when he misbehaved his parents. Back then in Austria, it was a very different world. If we did something bad or we disobeyed our parents, the rod was not spared, he explained in a past interview. On top of that, his family endured extreme poverty, with one of his fondest memories being the day his family actually got a refrigerator. It wasn't until the age of 14 that Schwarzenegger would discover his ticket to a better life, in the form of weights. Number 9. Muscled aspirations. Arnold's parents originally had big plans for his future. While his mother hoped he'd go to trade school, his father wanted to steer him towards a career in law enforcement. As a young teenager, though, he found his passion in weightlifting and bodybuilding. Schwarzenegger became so obsessed that when his local gym would shut down for the night, he'd force his way in to make sure he got his pump in for the day. "It would make me sick to miss a workout," he was quoted as saying. "I knew I couldn't look at myself in the mirror the next morning if I didn't do it." His love for working out and sculpting his physique was so strong, in fact, that he once broke military law to pursue his passion. While serving in the Austrian army, like all males in the country at the age of 18, Arnold went AWOL and skipped out on basic training so that he could participate in the Junior Mr. Europe competition, a choice that bought him a week in military jail. That didn't derail him, though, as he would go on to compete in the Mr. Universe competition, losing his first time out to Chester Yorton due to his supposed inferior leg definition, but he took care of the shortcomings by the time he was 20 as the youngest man ever to win the Mr. Universe title. 3 years later, Arnold took home his first Mr. Olympia title, making him an international star ready to break out into the mainstream. Number 8. Moving to America. After his time in Austria, Schwarzenegger decided to move to London when he was 19 and lived with his bodybuilding coach as he sought to a chance at becoming Mr. Universe. Here he began making his first attempts at learning English before eventually reaching his goal. Then, at the age of 21, Arnold made the decision to pursue his acting dreams by moving to America with little to no money or understanding of the English language. He made his home at the famed Venice Beach and began working out at Gold's Gym, making friends with a number of famed bodybuilders and professional wrestlers along the way, including superstar Billy Graham. He also met Franco Columbu, a peer in the bodybuilding profession, and in 1968, the two began a bricklaying business on the side to help fund their passion. With an innate mind for business, Schwarzenegger's first company blossomed, especially after the 1971 San Fernando earthquake increased the demand for building materials. This would jumpstart Arnold's rags to riches tale, a life story which has gone on to herald as one of the greatest American immigrant stories of the modern age. Number 7. Heavyweight hurdles. Though Schwarzenegger rose to stardom in the bodybuilding industry relatively quickly, he still faced his fair share of obstacles on the way to the top. Despite his massive size and ego displayed in an early documentary, Arnold wasn't always filled to the brim with confidence. He often fought feelings of anxiety until a friend helped him overcome it through the use of transcendental meditation. Once he got his mind right, Schwarzenegger would confess his true aspirations to an English coach while learning the language. His goals stretched beyond weights and physical competition. Arnold claimed he was going to become the greatest actor. Regardless of his accolades, though, Hollywood wasn't initially welcoming to the phenomenal strongman. "It was very difficult for me in the beginning," he tells. "I was told by agents and casting people that my body was too weird, that I had a funny accent, and that my name was too long. You name it, and they told me I had to change it. Basically, everywhere I turned, I was told that I had no chance." His first film, Hercules in New York, featured the 6'2", 260-pound actor under the name Mr. Universe Arnold Strong. At the time, his accent was so thick that it dubbed over in post-production, and his next appearance in The Long Goodbye cast the Austrian actor as deaf and mute to avoid the same problem. Number 6. Breakthrough roles. Playing larger-than-life characters on film would eventually become Arnold's calling card. But it wasn't until the world got a glimpse of the man behind the muscles that Schwarzenegger's popularity began to skyrocket. The 1977 bodybuilding documentary, Pumping Iron, put the Austrian actor on the map as it documented his Mr. Olympia victory over Lou Ferrigno, known for his role as the Incredible Hulk, a role Ferrigno and Schwarzenegger would later compete for as well. The film was well received, though. Despite its label as a documentary, many elements have since been recognized as being dramatized. The supposed rivalry between the famous bodybuilders created a somewhat villainous portrayal of Schwarzenegger, marking his first official appearance in a film as a villain. Prior to Pumping Iron, though, Arnold had already began impressing peers with the 1976 drama Stay Hungry. His performance as a bodybuilder in training for the Mr. Universe earned him a Golden Globe for Best Acting Debut in a Motion Picture. These back-to-back successes would lead to his casting in the classic fantasy action hit Conan the Barbarian, which blew audiences away with its release in 1982. As the new symbol of barbaric manliness, Hollywood began to see Schwarzenegger's value as an action star, and in 1984 he would become the Terminator, a character many view as the actor's trademark role. This science fiction blockbuster not only bolstered Arnold's career, but would launch one of the most accomplished directors into stardom as well, in James Cameron. Number 5. Hollywood icon. Upon his return to the Terminator franchise in 1991 with the release of Terminator 2: Judgment Day, Schwarzenegger made waves as the sequel earned a record opening at the time of $52 million during its opening 4th of July 5-day weekend. It would gross $519.8 million worldwide at the box office, and won numerous Academy, People's Choice, and MTV Movie Awards. But by then, Arnold had already begun establishing himself as a bona fide star with a series of popular films ranging from sci-fi action like Predator, The Running Man, and Total Recall to comedies like Twins and Kindergarten Cop. All the while, Arnold built his brand and continual use of his trademark line, "I'll be back," a phrase that stayed with him since the first Terminator film. Throughout his career, Schwarzenegger has used the line in at least 18 separate films, along with a number of speeches in his career as a politician. He's returned to the Terminator franchise for 6 different films and starred in more than 65 films and television shows over the span of an almost 50-year acting career. And there's more on the horizon as Arnold appears to have at least another 7 projects in the works over the coming years. Number 4. Political prowess. With his propensity to tout massive weaponry in his films, in addition to his brawny biceps, it may come as no surprise that the Austrian is a longtime Republican. His affiliation with the party stemmed from the stances of the 1960s Democratic Party, which in his opinion were far too close to the Austrian socialists he had grown up with. Raised under the tenets that conformity was most important, he found President Richard Nixon's belief of free enterprise, a hands-off government, and strong military to resonate with Schwarzenegger's own idealistic dreams of fortune, fame, and safety. In 1990, he found himself appointed to his first political position as chairman of the President's Council of Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition under President George H.W. Bush. This appointment came after appearing in a Reagan-era anti-substance music video called "Stop the Madness," as well as accompanying Vice President Bush during a campaign rally in 1988. In a 1999 interview with Talk magazine, Arnold voiced an interest in running for office, saying, "I think about it many times. The possibility is there because I feel it inside." But it wouldn't be until 2003 that Arnold would announce his foray into full-time politics, this time as a Republican candidate for governor of California. The announcement of his candidacy drew widespread attention, with the media immediately employing his catalog of work by calling him the Running Man and the Governator. Surprising many, Schwarzenegger ended up garnering huge support, winning the recall election by 1.3 million votes, as only the second foreign-born governor to be elected since 1862. Number 3. Governing accomplishments. After coming into office, Schwarzenegger won points with his constituency early on with acts like repealing an unpopular vehicle registration tax increase, along with preventing the issues of driver's license to illegal immigrants. These victories, along with his innate charm and favorable standing as a celebrity, earned him a record-high approval rating of somewhere between 65 and 79%. After launching a special election in late 2005, in which 4 of his proposed ballot measures were defeated, the public began to turn against the Austrian strongman. Though he took responsibility for these failures, he would later point out the massive effort to oppose these measures by powerful state unions, citing the $160 million they spent to sway voters. It was later found that the public employee unions had fundraised this money illegally. But that didn't change Arnold's defeat. In hopes of better serving the people of California and win his re-election, Schwarzenegger would begin transitioning to more moderate stances, going so far as to reach across the aisle and appoint Democrat Susan Kennedy as his chief of staff. He subsequently won the race for California governorship once more in 2006, defeating Democrat Phil Angelides with a majority vote of 56%. Maintaining his fiscally conservative beliefs, he would go on to be more socially liberal, supporting pro-choice stances on abortion and gay rights. Still, by the time he left office, his approval ratings had dropped to a dismal 23%. Number 2. Financial success. Considering his humble beginnings, Arnold has had an incredible, fruitful career. His catalog of work has grossed more than $4 billion worldwide, becoming one of the most successful self-made millionaires in the process. As mentioned prior, his bricklaying business grew immensely in a short amount of time before he began taking advantage of his iconic physique by marketing mail-order instructional videos and exercise equipment. As he turned this burgeoning popularity into one of the most successful acting careers ever, Schwarzenegger's net worth climbed to an estimated $400 to $800 million. This was before his 2011 divorce from his ex-wife of 25 years and Peabody Award-winning journalist Maria Shriver, and as such his fortune is thought to have shrunk since. Still, Arnold knew how to live the lavish life in his heyday, being the first civilian to ever commission a Humvee for everyday use. He would later use his riches to adapt his Hummer collection to eco-friendly standards in accordance with his environmental focus, as they were converted to run on biofuels and hydrogen. Number 1. Elephant Encounter. In 2016, Schwarzenegger was on a safari in South Africa when he had a run-in with one of the few creatures in the world bigger than him, an African elephant. The great tusked mammal chased the former governor's safari vehicle through the wilderness, getting a little too close for comfort in the process, at least to the average person. But Arnold is anything but average, and in true iconic fashion, the governor laughed it off as the elephant was in pursuit. Rather than dwell on the danger of the scenario, he took the time afterwards to use the footage in emphasizing the importance of elephant conservation. To his social media audience, Schwarzenegger said, "I couldn't have written the safari encounter better if it was a movie. I'm absolutely in awe of these beautiful, strong animals, even though some of us had to change our pants after this." To dissuade elephant hunting, he told followers, "Take a photo, not a shot." Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.